Hi, and welcome.
I'm Z,
And I'm Keith.
and we're going to tell you about the movie that we just watched. But first, a little bit of a heads up.
Some of the movies we watch deal with heavy subject matters.
In order to talk about these emotionally delicate things and the heavy subject matters that we sometimes cover, we add humor and crude language to add some levity and to process our own trauma.
If that doesn't feel fun or safe for you, we completely understand. Please take care of yourself first and foremost.
And we spoil the end of pretty much every movie that we watch.
Now you know. On with the show.
Hi, and welcome to another episode.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Welcome to my channel.
What a fucking movie.
And then some.
As soon as the movie started, I said, I was like 10 out of 10. Literally, that was the first thing out of my mouth. I was like 10 out of 10. I love this movie. Literally, because it just immediately, it doesn't do like a credits and then things start happening. It's like the credits rolling as like he's doing all of these moves and it's ridiculous, but like it's like smash cut, like he just starts doing this stuff and I was like, brilliant. 10 out of 10, no complaints. And it was this movie is ridiculous and amazing. It was just, I kept being like, I think at one point I literally like yelled out loud, like at a girl or something. I don't know. I was just like so.
At a girl?
Something. I knew I said like, you go girl, or I don't know. I said something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so. And
Remember when you said something about a pig pissing in her eye?
Oh, jeez, don't cry. Listen, Laura, what's-her-face is going to be here any second. Now, we don't want our star to look like a little pig peed in her eyes now, do we? Then knock it off.
This was an amazing film. So, to my surprise, every single person in the movie, when I looked at their IMDb, it was like known for The Last Dragon.
I know.
But
even William H. Macy.
Yeah, these aren't people that like haven't done other things. It's not a thing where like other people. I'm like,
no, I'm
what?
so pissed off that I've never heard of this.
I'm same. I kept thinking that the whole time. Our friend Girdler does these amazing. We haven't actually been because he lives in a different town than we do. But he does these amazing.
Yeah, I don't think he did this at the library though. He said.
Oh, okay. But like he does these film screenings at the library, and he like, it's not something where he just like shows a DVD or something like that. I mean, he might, but like he contacts distributors and he like goes through the proper channels. He's not like doing some like little bootleg showing of something. He goes all out to do it. And he gets funding, I think, from the library or something, or I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get funding, but he gets like permission
Right.
to do this for like a certain amount of time, and he's able to request films and get them approved or not. Like he's gonna be showing, I don't know when exactly, but he's gonna be showing a Serbian film.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but now I want to watch it just so I can imagine how awkward.
I forget what the deal is with it. Is it just?
It's just like a you know, I forget, but it's like everything bad. It's whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. He said that he did a showing of The Last Dragon and like 40 people showed up, and he said that all but like maybe 10 people walked out of the showing. We were watching this last night, and Keith was like, who the fuck would walk out of this? And I had forgotten all about that story, so I was like, what? Who's walking out of this? And then I remembered, and I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, this movie is engaging. This movie's, it's, if you're
Like-
walking into this movie made in 1985, talking about sort of the complexities of like Black and Asian cultures and how they, you know, mix and, well, mix probably isn't the right word, but, like, you know, how they're sort of
Intermingle?
yeah, and how
Intertwined?
there's sort of like a fascination and a technical appropriation on both sides. It was very interesting to me the way that they do the whole like, yeah, that was an interesting thing. But it's ridiculous. Like if you're walking into this and you're like, I need a fucking cinematic experience, and you don't feel that way about like this is. It's
Well,
got musical numbers. It's got fucking.
Forgetting that Barry Gordy was involved.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was just going to be a very low budget
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
passion project of somebody.
Yeah.
And, you know, have all those trappings. And
Right.
I'm not saying it's not a passion project or a vanity project.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, the trailer that I watched on YouTube is like the trailer, the original trailer. So it doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it
right.
looks like it was off of a fucking TV from 1985. So it looks like shit. So I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. You know, even if it's fun, it's going to be rough to watch. And it's a fucking Blu-ray rip. This is,
oh yeah, that we
it was,
the version we watched is off of apparently the 30th anniversary Blu-ray
it was
release.
amazing. Looked stellar.
Amazing transfer. It looks so
gorgeous.
good.
Yeah. I was
You
like,
would not. I literally am like, this does not look like.
Yes.
There's no way this is from 1985.
correct.
There's no way this is.
Yeah, I was watching it, and like that's part of why as soon as it started, I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Like this isn't gonna be painful to watch. This is gonna be good." It was. It really does a lot of like. Yeah, I was. Yeah, there's so much that I was very interested in, and there's a lot of stuff it does that's it's wild because like even this is always something that I find impressive is when like they have like minor characters who also have like a story but it's not like overshadowed. It's not like it's just written into the dialogue, and it's not like
Like the
it's
thing
not
with
a
his
fucking
brother.
monologue. The thing with his brother, but also like Mike Starr, how he was like a prize
Oh,
fighter
yeah,
and he
right,
failed,
right.
and now he's like all this shit. But it's like not. It's just like casual conversation that people are having. But
Yeah,
there's
that's a
a
good point.
reason. Everybody. It's not like
Yeah,
where
you're
did
right.
you
It makes
come
it-
from? And they're like, I'm just here. You know, it's
Yeah,
you know
right.
like.
Which is a lot of the kids at the school, at the his students or whatever, at the dojo.
And
But
right,
they're
but-
kids.
Right, but what I mean is like even like the fight scene at the
Yeah.
end where all the kids are there, you know why they're there. You know where they came from, you know? And so you're not like, what the fuck is going
Yeah,
on?
right.
Like they did a good job of explaining all of
Absolutely.
this stuff.
That's a great point.
And so it's like, but it's also like subtle. So you're not like distracted by any of those storylines. It's just building, but
No, it
all
really
the
gives you-
all the
it
minor
grounds everything.
right, all the minor character stories help build the major character stories as well. So it's like it fits so together so interestingly, and
Yeah, they're not like competing.
right, exactly. God, the fucking what's her name? The
Faith Prince
wait, who? No,
that plays Angela, whatever.
oh yeah, wait,
Vanity is the main female lead.
so the redhead.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's
The fucking scene C gets where she leaves Eddie Arcadian or whatever his name is.
Yeah, when he's like, you're just a dumb, you know, blonde from Kew Park or whatever, or
Kew Gardens.
Kew Gardens, making money making money off your tits or something like that. And she was like, okay, but listen to this. You also are from Kew Gardens and you're making money off my tits too. And I was like, oh, and it's like, it is delivered so fucking well.
Oh,
and
she's amazing.
The acting in this, I was actually really surprised. Like,
Yes.
it gets like when he like I was like when he walks in after fucking Shonuff or whatever. What's his name? Is that it? Shonuff. After he like completely destroys his parents'
Oh, yeah, yeah.
pizzeria, and he walks in, he's just looking, and like his little brother's like basically like
This
fuck
is your
you,
fucking fault.
yeah, and it goes back to him. And he's just sitting there, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's just weeping!" And I was like, "Holy
his mom
shit!"
comes up and
And
hugs
yeah,
him, and you can see his,
he's just like tears are literally falling off of his face. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Yeah, okay.
And the fact that like it wasn't like there was no attempt to like you know how sometimes movies will like zoom in so you can see or
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
make sure yeah.
yeah.
Because it like took or whatever.
They didn't
None
go
of
too
that.
hard
It was
on that,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was just a scene. The image was the same. Like when he walks in and he's devastated, and then it goes back to his brother, and it goes back to his face looking the same. And I think maybe it even pans back to his brother again, and then you go back and he's crying, and you're like, oh shit! Like they're not being like,
Yeah.
oh, like he doesn't have any dialogue even. He's just like, because he doesn't know what to do. He's just like devastated.
Yeah. Before we get too further, I want to.
Yeah.
So again, didn't know anything about this movie or
Nothing.
any of the people in it. I
On
mean,
purpose. Like we didn't want to.
Oh, yeah,
I had
yeah.
no interest in.
yeah. Thank God you saw it on the list because fucking A,
Same.
way too long. I mean, I'm happy to have seen it now. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
wow. So, the person who plays Leroy is Timok. Is the guy's name? He was 19.
Honestly, I'm surprised he was that old. He looks like, I swear to God, I said when the movie started, I said, why does he have the mustache of a 14-year-old? Like he literally
Yeah.
has that
I said
like
maybe he's 14.
wispy, as Girdler put it, dirt stash.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Like that. He's got that little dirt stash going
World
on.
War
and
One
he's-
mustache.
Yeah. I was like, he looks so fucking young. I was like, he looks like he could be like 16. I would not be surprised if he was like a fucking teenager. And apparently he was.
Lo and behold, yeah, he was a martial artist. He like
I believe that. I totally believe that.
He started. I guess his dad had a friend who had a dojo or whatever. So growing up, he and his brothers went to since he was 6 or something. But he said he didn't really get into it. He didn't get the passion for it until he was like 12 when he saw Enter the Dragon.
Right. Yeah.
So he literally or legitimately like Timok, Bruce Lee is his hero.
Yeah.
Too. So, and he had just won a kickboxing tournament or something right
Yeah.
before he got cast. He was studying with Ron Van Cleef, who's a black African American martial artist who in the 70s was like in some Hong Kong films.
Yeah.
And was one of the few black actors to be in those movies. Jim Kelly was another one who was in the actual one of the Bruce Lee movies. But Ron Van Cleef, Ron Van Cleef also did a lot of work, like on sets, training people and working with.
Yeah.
But anyway, Timok was studying with him for whatever form he was teaching. I think it was one of the Gojus. And he heard about the movie and told him to go out for it. His first read went poorly because he had no experience in the industry at all.
Right. Yeah.
And he thought he was, the audition was going to be basically a martial arts demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
So he showed up with his gi and shit. But it was just like a regular table read kind of scenario, totally unprepared.
Oh, wow.
So they were like, no thanks.
Yeah.
But he said then his dad, like he went away for the summer.
Yeah.
They went to Miami or something to do a job, and he brought his friend and, whatever. They were just like, it was like cleaning houses or repairing roofs or something like that. But they were like, we're leaving New York and going to Miami. And his dad, on the drive, made him learn the script and practice with him he was he hated it. But when he got back to town, he begged them to see him again.
Yeah.
they did, they had cast somebody else who had just only not signed the contract. Like he was fully cast, or like they had decided on somebody else. And the director was so impressed with his improvement that he was like, "All right."
Oh my God, that's amazing. I fucking loved the scene where she was showing him like all the Bruce Lee footage.
Yeah,
the
it's
screen.
so sweet.
He seemed genuinely like overjoyed.
He
It
probably was.
so fucking yeah. And when you
It
said
really
like,
seems like he's playing a version of himself, which helps.
yeah. It was so like, yeah. This movie was both like what do you call it, like sort of an imaginative sort of, like, it had like weird shit like the fish, the flesh eating
Right.
fish.
I also this went under my radar. I didn't realize until it's the scene where they trashed the family restaurant, because they have one in what's his name?
I don't really.
Eddie
Arcadia. Yeah.
Arcadian. They have a jukebox that plays videos on top.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was playing her song. Or
Was it?
Yeah, and when they kick it, he's like, "That's not mine. I
Yeah,
don't
right.
own that."
I
And
know,
I was
which
like,
was great.
"Oh shit, yeah."
Yeah, I didn't track that. There's one of those, and anyway, I wish I could remember there was a brief format that existed in, I think mostly it was in Italy. It was the only place where they sold it, but it was like that. It was jukebox. You would queue up the track and it would play the video.
That's fucking cool. That's fucking
Yeah.
cool.
So I don't know if it was based on that or meant to be imitating
Yeah.
that, or just a science fiction concept at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I like the scene. I mean, I don't like the scene. You know what I mean. When they kidnap, who's it? Vanity.
Hold on, yes, but I just remember the reason the reason I know about that is because of they reference it in the episode of the Venture Brothers where Rusty gets trapped underground with all the.
Oh shit! Yeah.
He's like, because all they have is a blank of my dad or whatever.
And their only contact with the outside world for like 30 years was an old Scopatone of your dad?
Not entirely. Somehow they were able to get VH1 classics on that thing, too.
I'm trapped down here with a confessed arsonist. It's so fucking good. Oh,
Sorry.
no, you're fine. Any excuse to bring that up. That fucking near, like the music it plays. Oh God, please insert a clip of that. Fuck, it's so fucking funny. Anyway,
A fellow Keith. That guy. The fire
R.I.P.
starter.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
So when they kidnap Vanity, what's her fucking name?
Laura something? Chalmers or something weird. Charles.
Chalmers.
I was only a couple letters off. And admittedly, Charles is as weird a name.
As Chalmers. You're not wrong.
Laura Charles.
I know. So they kidnap her, and it's like this whole thing where like
The whole thing is she's got a hot.
she's like the host of Seventh Heaven, which is not the pedophilic starring religious TV show from the 90s. So get that out. Yeah, pedophile starring. Okay, whatever.
The show itself was not.
I don't know. I can't say that for
Pedo.
sure. I don't know. It's very religious heavy. And
Yeah.
as we've learned from all of the fucking documentaries we've watched, the more religious something is, the more into pedophilia it actually is.
Well, let's be precise. The more fundamentalist Christian
Yeah. So
or Christian offshoot. I don't know. I don't know if Mormons call themselves Christian.
yeah, I don't really know. Yeah. I'm a little bit confused because I know that there's like Catholic and Protestant, and those
Yep.
are like the two, but I don't know how everything else fits into that. And do I really want to know? Anyway,
There's a great Emo Phillips bit about denominations. Anyway, sorry.
thank you.
Apparently, every other time that I've made myself a second cup of coffee for recording has just now been. I've got muscle memory, so now I'm just activated, like I've had.
Activated. I like that part. Activated.
I didn't touch my mouth.
You did. You said. I mean, you might not have physically touched it, but you got very close where it looked like you touched it to me, and you said, "Activated." It was very funny. It's fine. I didn't touch my mouth. Were you touching your butthole then?
I'm touching my mouth in the room with us right now?
Yeah, she's over there. So
She's right behind me.
William H. Macy tries to get Laura Charles to meet with Eddie Arcadian, and he's like, "You have to meet with him." She's like, "I don't give a shit who this person is. I don't want to meet with him. I don't care." And so he said, like, it gets relayed back to Eddie Arcadian, and when we see Eddie Arcadian, he has Mike Starr working for him, giving rotten pieces of meat to fucking something that we don't really ever actually
No,
see.
we never see anything. Well, I guess there's a little shadow
yeah,
once.
Yeah, I don't really. Anyway,
But it looked like feathers to me.
right? It looked like
Genius.
So
And the water is just the color that doesn't exist in nature.
the water looks like
It looks like some spirulina grew algae on it.
yes. So he finds out that she doesn't want to meet up with him, so he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make her meet up with him. So he starts sending like goons out to try to get
Kidnap
her,
her.
yeah, so that she'll meet with him, so that he can play his girlfriend's single for her, so that she'll play it on the show. And that's the meet cute that happens that causes Leroy and Laura to first encounter one another. He's on a quest to find the master so that he can
Some dumb goy.
Yep. So that he can I didn't catch that he actually named Some Dumb Goy. I didn't actually catch that.
Yeah, I didn't
the
either
first time.
until
Yeah. So
Who played? I keep forgetting to look up who played the master, the first master.
his teacher, you mean?
Yeah.
So God, that whole bit when he's like, I'm leaving soon, and he's like, to like on a quest. Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm gonna visit my family in Miami. Fucking slayed me. That shit slayed me.
Okay, and also none of them are named, I don't think, on screen, but the three dudes that work at Some Dumb Goy
Oh man.
are called Huyi, Luyi, and Duyi. Remember when I first woke up this morning and you said, "You duck" or something? You duck.
I don't remember what I said.
Thomas Ikeda.
Okay. So he runs into her. Anyway, it's like this whole thing where like she has something that belongs to, like he drops something that he thinks is important, but it's actually just a thing and doesn't really matter.
His teacher gives him this
Medallion.
looking thing, and he says, "Give this to
Some
Some
dumb
Dumb
boy."
Goy. He'll know what it means or whatever." It's
Anyway.
Leroy saves Laura from getting kidnapped,
Right.
But in the
first
process,
time. Yeah, he drops the medallion
thing.
and she picks it up. He doesn't realize that he'd lost it and whatever. So he's trying
It
to
is
get
the
back
classic meet cute
Right.
trick of
Right.
leaving something behind.
correct
So
so that you haven't but they also say that you subconsciously leave things behind when you want to return. So there's also that. So they end up like he's trying to
I
get
subconsciously leave things behind when I'm awake.
that's what it is. What? I
I
think
just mean all the time. I'm
right.
okay.
Well, yeah. Because you always want to be
joke worth interrupting you for. Is the point?
Is that what you mean by activated? Is that you're just interrupting
What?
me a lot? She dumb. Fellas, she dumb. Fellas, you ever have a dumb girlfriend?
Butterface.
So, yeah. So he's trying to get back in touch with her because thank you for interrupting me again to tell me that you're gonna not be interacting with me. That's beautiful. So he's trying to get back in touch with her because she has the thing he lost, and he ends up like I can't remember if there's no, yeah, he ends up accidentally seeing, or he happens upon again Eddie Arcadian kidnaps her. This time he succeeds, and so he finds her. I don't remember how he gets to her, where she's at. Oh yeah, because he drops his metal notebook, and
Oh yeah.
it has his
When
name
they
on
throw
it.
her in
so-
the van.
Yeah. So he goes and he basically rescues her, but
Again.
they're making her watch Eddie Arcadian's Girlfriend Single, which is a banger. It slaps.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
$30
saying.
bucks.
It's love it.
In the featurette, I guess one of Barry Gordon's kids, Carrie Gordy.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those people that he has like 8 kids, and
okay.
like half of them are names that rhyme with Barry.
Nice.
He's one of the people that charged with writing the songs, some of the songs that they
Yeah.
used, and he was like, the prompt they were given was that it was meant to be obviously
Sexual. Oh, sorry.
goofy, like that no one would want to put it on the air, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That it was going to be
Right.
obvious that it was, but it also had to be a good song. And I'm like,
That's-
well, you succeeded.
Yeah.
I mean,
You succeeded in one of those. Yeah. So
during the movie, I said, sorry, you accidentally wrote a banger.
right. What I liked is when he's like, "Okay, I want you to put this on air," and she's like, "No."
Mm-hmm.
And two things that I liked about that scene. One, she's like, "It's not that it's a bad song. It's just it's not the kind of thing that we do." And I'm like, I love that because that's exactly the thing and it shows you the kind of music that they play.
Yeah.
It shows you like the vibe that the show has. So you know what's going on there. And her thing was more of a, they're obviously trying to what do you call it? Invoke like Cyndi Lauper-esque.
Oh, yeah.
And not to say that wouldn't at all fit in there, but it's like a different genre
Yeah.
than what they're playing. So it was like, I like that because there's no
mean-
trashing. There's no trashing
Yeah.
like the artist. They're not saying you suck. They're not saying you're not any good. None of that. She's just saying this is not the kind of thing that we show on Seventh Heaven. So I'm not going to put that on there. And I was like, brilliant.
Yeah, that's
And
what's up.
then, yeah. And then,
Because what we have seen is like full on half of the actual video for
Right.
Rhythm of the Night by El DeBarge,
Yeah.
which apparently this movie is what made that song big.
that's amazing.
Right?
That's amazing. I love that. I'm like, I wish I could have been there for this shit. This was,
Yeah,
I wish that,
Apparently it got to number 2 in the box office the year it came out.
that's insane.
It dropped off, but it was
Right.
up against, it was 1985 for fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
right. Oh my God.
But there was no, this was how Timok described it though. He said it was like a big hit for black audiences, but it was not marketed outside of that.
Yeah.
At all.
Right. Which, again, it's one of those things where it's like when the idea is that only a black audience would want to see black
Yeah.
film,
Right.
that's not the case. This is a fucking
Yeah. He also
amazing
said
movie.
that he went to once he, I don't know, it wasn't that recent, but like in the
Yeah.
2000s, he asked if you would come to a screening of it.
Yeah.
In Roanoke, Virginia, and he said he got there and it was almost entirely white people, and
Yeah.
he was surprised.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, but another thing that I really liked this because it made me realize that they were not trying to do the thing, which I love when they do shit like this. It's subtle, but I'm like, yes, they're not pitting the women against each other.
Yep.
It was Eddie Arcadian doing all the shady shit and his
yes.
girlfriend being like, because when she says, like, this is not, she's like, says no. The girlfriend like interrupts and she's like, yeah, she's saying it's not the right time of day. Like, you got her. Like,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, she's tired. She's not gonna. And I'm
Right.
like, I love this because she's immediately
Yeah.
protecting this
Yeah,
girl
yeah,
that
she's
she
intervening.
doesn't know,
Yeah.
who, from her perspective, holds her, like, saying yes to this is the entirety of her career. Like, this is everything hinges on this. She says no, and this girl is not like, oh, what the fuck? She's just like, oh, let's make sure that you're safe. And she's like, you're not gonna do, and she's like very upset that he's trying to do shit to her.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I was like, yes, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this because this, like, Laura is not saying shit about, I can't remember what her name's supposed to be, Faith or something. Is that the real?
No, Faith is the actor's name. Angela.
Angela. Faith is not saying anything negative about Angela. Angela is not saying anything negative about Faith. They never talk shit about one another.
Yeah.
Even though the villain, is trying his best to pit them against each other. Fucking love it. I was like, oh, I'm here for this. Like, he's not trying to pit
Angela.
no, he's not trying to pit Laura against Angela, but he's trying to make Angela, like, basically feel like slighted if Laura's not like
he does.
fawning, right?
And even
it's
before
not working,
Angela
right.
gets her awesome "fuck off and die" speech, she does. We do get that scene where she's like, "This is for you. This isn't
Oh,
about."
that's the same scene.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, "You're doing this for you," because she says
And
that
she's
about.
like, same with Rocco.
Yeah, that's like when she comes, she's like, "You're doing it for you," and that's when he's like, "Oh, don't kid yourself. Like, you're sitting here flaunting your tits or whatever," and she's like, "Okay, maybe I am, but you're benefiting off of that same thing." Oh man, when I was like,
And in the end, Daddy, you know what? You're nothing but a misguided midget asshole with dreams of ruining the world. Yeah, also from Kew Gardens. And also getting by on my tits.
And man, that really changes that character because you expect it to be she's just a ditz.
yes. And then when she goes, like, she's leaving, and it doesn't, like, she doesn't not leave. She doesn't do it.
Yeah,
She just,
right.
as she's leaving, she goes to make sure that Leroy is like make sure that he's. I mean, it's too late because he's already done something. But like, she's like, don't
Oh yeah.
go here, don't do this
Right.
because they're trying to build.
Set you up.
Yeah. Love that. I love that
Yeah.
she's like, oh, on my way out, let me let me do one last fuck you to my ex. You know, like,
I like
love it. Yeah. We didn't talk about this yet, but this is something. The fucking movie theater scene.
Yeah.
So, like, this is the first scene other than the opening scene where he's doing a bunch of moves and his, like,
And the annoying talk about the last dragon and
yeah.
the glow and the final level. It's so
Yeah.
tedious to me.
Yeah, that's fine. But he we don't see, oh god, he's eating popcorn with chopsticks. Oh, it's so good.
Killed me.
There's so much in this scene. There's so much
So
in this
much is
scene that is
happening.
done that is so I loved so much about the scene. One, that they're watching it hold on, sorry. They're watching, it reminded me of like how like a Rocky Horror Picture Show
Yeah.
like screening goes, where everyone is just like basically like almost in their own world watching this. There's people, like, everyone's talking, everybody's saying the dialogue, like everything is going along. Like, there's when the boom box,
Yeah, the
and
best
they
part
start
is
doing
that-
the dancing, and then someone comes and jumps on the boom box, and it shatters. Like, it shatters in a way I don't even think real boom boxes had those parts.
No.
It's just
it
like
clearly looked like it was.
It
It was
looks
like a piñata.
Oh god, it was amazing. I
was
loved
amazing.
it so
and
much.
because they were like, everybody's like, fuck it. You know, like, and they were like, we're watching a movie. We're like,
They're just like,
breaking, popping, and locking.
and then the fucking when
Then the Shogun busts in.
Yeah, he comes in and then he starts like saying shit. He's like, who wants to fight me? I don't know. He's just starting shit with anybody that he can. And the two guys stand up and one of them takes his shirt off and he's just wearing a fucking tank
half shirt.
crop top. It's a fat dude, which this is not to say anything that he's just a fat dude, and there's no jokes about it. It's not a joke. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm ready to fight, and takes off his shirt and he's wearing a pink tank crop top and it's just fine.
It's
And there's
amazing.
no like, and he's just like one of the people fighting him. Beautiful. And then a trans woman is like her boyfriend like starts to try to fight
I forgot about her.
Shogun. And she's like, don't, not the face, not the face. His beautiful face. And that's it. Like, they're not making fun of her. Nothing. She's just like, not the face. It's so, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's
so
when
much.
that's when
That's when I was like, oh, this movie's going to
Yeah.
be fucking.
because the previous scene with the teacher,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is going the way I thought it
Right,
was
yeah, yeah,
gonna.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
all about honor and
Yeah.
But then when that scene happens, I'm like, okay, we're in a different.
Yep. Yeah. And
Movie.
the fucking, oh my God, the fucking, like, because Shogun's doing all this shit and he's like, fight me, Leroy. And Leroy's like, that's okay. And so he starts walking along the fucking
I know. Yeah, right.
seats, like on top of the
Yeah.
seats, like the back of the seats, with his chopsticks and popcorn. And he's just like, bye. And it's amazing. Like, that part where everybody's like trying to fight Shogun, he's just like,
Yeah, that's my favorite Leroy
amazing.
scene, honestly.
Amazing. And then like, and I really loved, like you said, like you want like a prequel about Shogun. And I'm like, yes, I want to know why Shogun's being a bitch to everybody. Like, I want to know what happened to Shogun. Because honestly, this dude, I mean, RIP, but this dude, Shogun
Amazing.
was fan-fucking-tastic.
Julius Carey.
Amazing performance by Julius Carey. Amazing performance, but also like, what a fucking cool bad guy. I mean, like, bad guys a lot of times, like, especially like,
Well, also, I love that you get two villains.
yes. And like the true villain is not Shogun. He keeps trying, like, Shogun, it's just like basically implying the whole time that Shogun is just being like a show off.
Yeah.
He's just being, and he's not doing, he's not doing martial arts the right way because he wants all the glory and it's not going to happen, and that's like a lesson for him. But the real villain is someone who's like actually trying to harm people in the community. And it's like, that's such, this was a good movie. This was a fucking good movie. Who the fuck is going to walk out of this movie? Idiots. Fucking weirdos. What the fuck, man?
The screenwriter, Louis
Mm-hmm.
Vinasta, who I believe is Puerto Rican,
Oh,
but
nice.
American.
Yeah.
obvious-
Well, yeah.
hopefully, obviously. I mean, it's kind of redundant in
Yes,
a way,
correct.
but lives in the States.
Right.
Lives in the contiguous states. Anyway, whatever. He said that movie scene at the beginning was inspired by, he said in 1983, I think,
Yeah.
it was a 10-year anniversary of Bruce Lee's death, and there was a screening they put Enter the Dragon back in theaters
Oh, wow.
as a result, and he went to a screening that was
Yeah.
basically like that. And like, I mean, you could tell there's a lot of intention towards this, especially with the three Chinese dudes.
Yeah.
But like, he was like, yeah, it was just so diverse.
Yeah.
Ethnically diverse, not just ethnically,
Right,
but it
right.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
and people were so into it and
Yeah.
saying the lines along
Yeah.
to it and everything. He was like,
Yeah.
that's basically what a real.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I mean, I worry about sounding like I'm being fucking racist, but like, I feel like people are racist about this shit. So like, but most fun I've ever had at a movie theater was watching a horror movie with a predominantly black audience. I don't like, it fucking annoys the shit out of me whenever people are like, people were being loud in the theater. And I'm like, okay, if they're like,
I don't have any experience with that.
yes, okay, right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got hurt.
Are you?
I am.
Sounds like you're not.
I am. And I'm especially sorry because I know who hurt you. Fucking annoying asshole. Anyway, not you. Him. But like when people are like, oh, people. Now, I've been to a screening where people were being absolutely disruptive. Being disruptive is not the same as being loud, is not the same as being like, involved in what you're watching. I mean, people were like screaming, like full on screaming. People were like having like, not conversations, but they were like, run, like, what the fuck? Like, beautiful. I'm like, this
What
is.
movie was it?
It might have been one of the Grudge movies, or I don't exactly remember. Maybe I don't know, but
Amazing.
it was like a movie that I went to see, I think, like, because I usually would go, because it was when I lived in Vegas, I think, and I would go to the movie theater all the time because we lived like right down the street from one of the many casinos.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2-minute drive or something to get there. And it was like they would have like really cheap like
Matinees.
Saturday showings,
yeah.
and it'd be like 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'd just go watch a fucking movie,
Shit,
right?
dude.
And so it'd be like $5.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course I'm gonna,
No-brainer.
yeah. So I watched a lot of movies like that, but every now and then, if it was a movie I really wanted to see, I would just like go like as soon as it was out. And so it was something that I watched like at night, but I don't remember exactly what it was because I used to go to the movie theater so much that I don't always remember what I've seen in the theater. I have no idea. But it was so much fun. And I was like, oh, this is what an interactive experience at the movies is like. There's an infamous scene too. This is what, like, I mean, it's annoying because people be like, oh, I miss the movie theaters before COVID. I'm like, okay, we get it, But like, there's this, it's like someone recorded like the ending scene in the final Avengers movie when they're battling Thanos and like all the portals open up and everybody that died is like coming back. And so it's like a recording of what of inside the movie theater, and people are just like screaming and losing their fucking shit. And people were like, "Oh my god!" They were like, "This was so much fun." They were like, "This was an experience." And I'm like, "Yes, that's exactly what I mean." Like to have like when people complain that like someone was being loud or like people were like talking too much, I'm like, this is a thing. I'm always gonna say this, like, watch it at home then. Like if you want it to be a quiet fucking movie theater, if you want there to be no sounds, nothing going on, why are you watching it in a theater with a bunch of other people?
Look,
like I don't understand.
Also want I want both options. I don't think we have to. I think there's plenty of room for both.
But
Because there are some movies where,
Yeah.
if it's a heavy drama, if it's a fucking film where I got to read subtitles, I'm like, shush. I can't do both.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not going to go to a movie theater for something like that.
That's true.
'cause
Also-
I don't want to fucking cry.
Also,
in
that's
front
going
of
to
a
be
bunch of shit.
disruptive. It's
Yeah.
not going to be participating because
Right. I mean, but that's what
I assume.
Right. But I also mean like I think that like the interactive part is part of the theater experience.
100%.
And I feel like I do want to say though that I feel like movies now don't give the option for either. Cuz used to they would show a movie for like a month. Like
Yeah.
couple months, and you could wait until it was like you could go on
end
like
of
a
the run and-
Saturday at
yeah.
8 a.m.
Yeah, and-
3 weeks after it's been playing when 2 people are in the theater, and then you have it all to yourself.
But I want to see it on opening night.
Right.
In
I
total
wanna-
silence.
Exactly. Right. That's what I mean. Like, it's like you can't do that. But I do feel like nowadays it's like, okay, we showed this for like half a week in theaters and now we're going to put it on streaming. And it's like, it's just, I get it, but it's also like, I miss when, I mean, I feel like this isn't as like, I didn't really get like the actual like 80s version of it when something would be in the theater for a full fucking year. But, like in the 90s and shit, like things would be in the theater for like months.
Oh, yeah.
And you could be like, oh, this is coming out. Let's save up to go see it.
You're
and then you'd like the next month you would go see it. And it would, there were plenty of times. And there are a couple times when I like put it off too much and I wasn't able to watch it. Like watch a movie that I was like, oh shit, it's not in
It's
theaters.
gone.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's one of those things where like having an audience that like is so invested in what they're watching that they're making noise and they're interacting and they give a shit, like, and they're so like into it, like that's so much more fun than like just going and yep, like okay, we're just gonna watch this movie, especially if it's like, you know, like I watched like The Wrath of Khan in the theater.
Nice.
That was one of the first movies I watched at the theater I later worked at. It was like playing on Thanksgiving or something, or the night before Thanksgiving or something stupid. And people were like, there was like 5 people in the theater, including me, my girlfriend, her friend, and her boyfriend. Maybe there were 2 other people in there, maybe just one. And when it got to like, you know, Khan,
Yeah.
like everyone was like, Khan, and you know, people were like yelling and shit like that. And like
That must mean Sibley was there.
her, no, he might have been, but I didn't know him at the
That's
time. But her friend was like, I've never seen this before. This is really annoying that people are being, and I'm like, girl, why are you going to a fucking 40-year-old movie being pissed off that everyone there on a holiday is enjoying themselves because they've seen this movie a million times, which is like, I get it, but like, you can't be pissed off that the 5 people here who have already seen the movie are interacting with it. Like, oh my fucking God, like, get over yourself. And it was just like,
Yeah.
you know, that shit where I'm like, okay, white girl, I get it. You don't like noise at the theater. Like, go somewhere else. Like, it's an art house movie theater. Like, you think nobody's going to be like, this is the point of these. Like, what the fuck, man? And like, yeah, anyway, I'm a bitch.
No, I don't know where that comes from. I'm sure there are many doctoral theses and probably books
Mm-hmm.
about. Is it Victorian? I don't know what it is. That
Right.
whole. I've been to quite a few, you know, like symphony, orchestral, chamber music, that kind of performance, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, it's just so. Again, I understand the history of the political economy of that kind of music being something that's for rich white people to
Right.
consume
Yeah.
or to support.
Right.
And thus, anyway, it's all gross.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, I mean, sure, I'm often have been enraptured in trying, you know, pouring all my attention into trying to, you know, listen and
Right. Yeah.
pay attention to
For
what's
sure.
happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't need to sit here in,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah. Like when I watched Sweet November in theaters, because
dry
it
seat in the
started.
house.
Oh my God, I fucking hated that ending, and so I was just like, as soon as I could not, you know how I am when I'm like, I don't like something, I turn into a sarcastic asshole bitch about it, and so I was just like,
Sorry, you told me this.
and I was just like, I wasn't like being loud.
Yeah.
But I was like talking to my friend. I was like saying shit to my friend who was like next to me. We were both like obsessed with Keanu Reeves. And I was like, because he like has his, she like blindfolds him and then like leaves. And he takes his blindfold off. And I was like, this movie's stupid. I was like, she's going to die. And Keanu Reeves is like, I want to be there with you. And she's like, no, remember me as the fucking annoying bitch that I was before I died. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck ever. Anyway. And he takes the blindfold off and he smells it. And I was like, it smells like fish. And I said that to her. And people were like, shut up. And people were so fucking mad. Because I was just laughing because I was like, this is so fucking stupid. I fucking hate that movie. Or the end. Like, it's fine, but the fucking ending is ridiculous.
No, horrible.
I love,
All horrible.
yeah, I do
You like
love,
Jason Isaacs
I
in
do.
drag, but
I do. Chaz Cherry. Love it.
I can't remember what movie it was, but I remember being at a late night screening with Flota and a bunch of other people. And we were like all in one row.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very boisterous and we were all
Yeah.
hamming it up. but someone who was not in our party. I think the movie had started or just started. You know, like nothing was happening. You know, but it was like maybe credits or because it was an old movie. Anyway, whatever. Floto was still on some bit. And this woman who was like our age, leaned over. She was also in the same row, and it was like, "Could someone please shut the fuck up over there?" It was so funny.
When we were watching the Rise of Skywalker or whatever, and someone just when it shows like Han Solo, I don't remember what part, but someone just goes, "Jesus Christ!" like so fucking
So
loud.
good.
It was such a
So
quiet
good.
there, and that just absolutely fucking annoyed and pissed off. Oh man, we died like we might have missed some of the movies because we were like pissing ourselves laughing. We were like, fuck. So I obviously, if you have something biting and bitchy to say during a film, I'm going to enjoy myself. Like it goes like even the fucking when I went to the Interpol concert and there was the opening band. And the guy's like, you know, being like somber or whatever. And someone said, "Hey, Robert Smith, why the long face?" And they just yelled that out to him. And he, like, the way he was like he was like trying so hard not to laugh. It was so fucking funny to me. I was like, oh man, this is great. This is why people go to concerts because someone's going to say something bitchy and purity. Anyway, that's always been the person that I am. And people are like, "No, you're wrong. It's not enjoyable." And I'm like, okay, joyless individual. I prefer
Are you joyless? Philip?
Anyway, would you recommend this movie?
Yes. Time for me to hit some notes. Then we
Hit
didn't
some
really.
notes. I definitely would recommend it. I think
Yeah.
I think it does a lot. I think if you're expecting like a fucking, you know, Oscar level fucking, you know, Academy Award performance from actors, then you should just go shit on a brick or something. But if you want something that's fucking fun and does a lot to sort of talk about, you know, the ways that like Black and Asian hold on, I'll say that Black and Asian, yeah. I was like, I was trying to say Black and Asian. That's what my mouth was trying to say, not Cajun.
Aging.
We went different ways. Like Asian.
difference?
There's like a lot of like you talked about this in I think the Rage in Harlem episode where you know there's an overlap with you know Black folks that are into like anime and Asian culture, but there's also you know, and this one I think is more pervasive or sort of more negative. There's a lot of anti-Blackness in Asian cultures.
Oh, sure.
So there's a lot. So the appropriation of Black culture a lot of times in Asian cultures, because there's a lot of colorism too. Yes. So it's like they'll do things that are, like anyway. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a dynamic that is there, and to talk about it, to show it, is very fascinating, and they're not really criticizing any.
No.
And I think that especially that it's not written by a Black or a Asian person. You know? I think that that's a smart route. I think that there's not a way that someone that's not actually in either.
Well,
of those,
in the whole, yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna let you finish. But
no, go ahead. I'm just annoyed now. So go ahead.
oh, I was just playing.
It's okay. I'm just kidding.
The whole shit, because the whole thing with Huey, Do Ye, and Louie is that they're
Yeah.
appropriating African American culture,
Right. Yeah. When he's doing the thing where he's trying to
But
pretend
then,
like,
so when they first meet him,
yeah,
it's funny.
yes,
Then he realizes to get back in, he has to pretend to he too has to act Black
right.
to win over their
The
flavor.
craps scene.
Yes.
fucking.
Anyway, that's all genius.
That is,
and you could, I feel like I've seen something attempting that you know, like
Yeah.
you could see that in like a Zucker Abrams
Right,
movie,
yeah.
and it being way
Right.
more offensive.
Right. Well, that's what I mean because they're not going hard on like the appropriation part of it. They're just talking. It's more about the the culture aspect of it, and they're showing both cultures. So they're not like saying like, I mean, you know, I could be wrong, and I'm not trying to speak for Asians or speak for Black folks. Like none of that's what I'm trying to do. But what I'm saying is, it's not a harsh critique of either. They're just acknowledging that it's a thing.
Right.
And I think that that's something that I appreciate. And but they're not trying to be like, oh, isn't this, a double stand? They're not trying to do anything other than be like, this is a thing.
Right.
And I think when you try to, especially when it's not actually your culture in either of these cases, to try to like be like, oh, it's the same thing, or like it's blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You're gonna fuck up.
Both sides.
Yeah, you're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna do it wrong. And so the fact that they didn't actually try to like make a point out of it or do anything, it's just like kind of like, isn't it funny that happens? And that's it. Yeah. Nothing further. I think that was a really smart route to make it not problematic in how it's portrayed on either way.
Yeah.
It's just like saying, this is just a thing. This is a thing that happens, and it's very common. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. Anyway, you were saying something.
I forget that whole shit.
What are the notes that you wanted to get to?
Oh yeah, Barry Gordy kind of sucks.
Who's that? The guy that did it? Okay.
Yeah, Motown.
Yeah.
Mr. Motown, the chairman, as they call him.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say the fucking Sukiyaki Hot Sake Sue song.
Yeah.
Was written for the film
That's amazing.
for those characters to do.
That's
because it was
amazing.
meant to be like a funky
Yeah.
Rick James style.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Julius Carey was 6'7".
Wow.
Not his age, his height.
6 or 7 somewhere.
Yeah, and he's like the mirror of Time Out because he
Right.
was an actor already.
Uh-huh.
Had no martial arts training.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he seems to do great with it. I'm guessing if you're like a super fan of like martial arts movies,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to be satisfied with the fight scenes in these.
Right. Yeah.
First of all, there's not all that many really, all considered.
Yeah.
And they're not very long.
Yeah.
They don't last very long. The final battle is maybe the longest.
Probably the
and
lengthiest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
There's more glow than anything.
That shit was amazing.
I loved it.
That looks
I loved
so
it.
good.
Yeah. The fucking bullet. Ding.
Yeah,
Fuck.
the scriptwriter said that all he had in the script was Leroy comes up and is glowing. So
Wow.
like all that shit was just
Wow.
what the effects department did with it.
That's amazing.
Glenn Eaton is the guy, plays the guy, was it Johnny Yu or whatever? Nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
Loved him. Great.
Would normally be a character I hated. Somehow it works. He's able to pull it off. It's all him.
Yeah,
Because
for
the
sure.
dialogue is, you're like, nothing he says
Yeah. Is that? Yeah.
is not a cliche.
Yeah.
Everything he does, in fact, is a cliche.
Yeah.
But oh my God, how does it work?
Is it Mr. Leroy here?
No, he's not here, but, how about something in a medium-sized Oriental?
Oh, no thanks. I'm not Jewish.
The scene where the little kid is unlocking it out of the closet, fucking, I don't know why. That was so fucking hilarious. Because the kid's like, I'm coming, I'm unlocking it. And he's like almost there, but he's already got the fucking lock off the door.
The key.
Put the keys in the latch and turn it!
Hey, Christ! Okay, you can come out now.
For whatever reason, I was like, this child is a comedic genius. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then the fucking fight scenes and shit, that kid just like I was like, this kid is having so much fucking fun. And everyone that was fighting with him, I'm like, I was like, these people seem like they're taking such good care of that kid. It was so good. I loved it.
That's Ernie Reyes Jr.
Oh, wait, I saw that name. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's another one of these people that's a martial artist and
Okay.
actor. He was in the first Ninja Turtles movie, the '90s one.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I saw some in the trivia mention that his dad is in there too. I wonder if his dad is the guy who crushes the boombox.
Oh, my God.
I hope.
That'd be funny.
Oh yeah, but Glenn Eaton also had never acted. That's Johnny Yu or whatever.
Okay.
And more nepotism, he was like the brother of whoever Barry Gordy was sleeping with at the time or something.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't put this together watching the movie. Why it's weird, or not why it's weird, but why they were able to have like a full-on El DeBarge video in it.
Yeah.
Because it's Motown. It's a Motown production.
right,
So they
yeah.
own all the rights to that
Right.
shit.
Okay. That's what I was wondering that. I was like,
Yeah.
because you were like saying like how do they
the
do
Bruce
this? And
Lee
I'm like,
movies-
I wonder because in the 80s and
That's true.
like there was a
Licensing was way
lot.
different.
Yeah, there was a lot of like you could like if it was owned under the same company, you could just use it.
Yeah,
And
that
like
too.
some of that happens now, but it has to be like very like strict. So I
you
was like,
can't
I
just
want.
do it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess one of the reasons Vanity got cast was because she had just left Prince and Barry Gordy signed her.
Nice. Okay. Fucking, I loved how like basically her character Laura Charles is just constantly trying to get Leroy to fucking dick her down. She's constantly like, you look like a master to me. Your body looks like it'd be great to protect
To guard
my
my-
body,
Yeah.
body on body, if you know what I mean. Like fucking hilarious. And then when he's like,
But he cannot even draw.
yeah, and she's like, I'll show you some moves. He's like, not me, my friend.
Yeah, right.
I loved all that because she's just like immediately she's like, oh, you have a nice look about you. Like she's just constantly like every time she sees him, she's like, hey, want to sit down for a second? Like it's
What I like about it
so-
too is it's not like my hero. Like,
Right.
I mean, clearly that's the same. That's the structure of it.
Yeah,
But it's not performed as though she's like,
yeah.
I need you to protect me.
Right, yeah.
She's like,
Yeah, exactly. She's like, oh,
she's a career lady. She's got her own
right,
shit,
right. Yeah. It's very and there's a dynamic where it's like she very clearly is trying to get him, like she's trying to use the things that she knows he's interested in as a way to reach him.
Yeah, it's
Which
so
is
sweet.
right,
It's
right,
like she's
exactly.
like,
But it's like I do like the fact that she's like I'm like not being like sarcastic when I say I love how like thirsty she acts for him because you shouldn't have to pretend like
it's also
you're
not
attract-
like predatory or
no.
super
She's
aggressive. or anything.
literally like I'm like she's all but saying, "Do you want to have sex with me?" Like,
Right.
and she can see that he's kind of like shy, and so she's like trying to like be upfront without like embarrassing him. It feels like, and so she's like when she's like, "You look like a master to me," and then she's like.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, anyway, like it's so cute. Like, but it's like she's very clearly like not trying to get him to ditch martial arts. She's not trying to get him to like
Change.
do something. Yeah, she's like
Be somebody else.
Oh, you could do this. But like when she's asking him to be a bodyguard for her, she's literally trying to invite him to spend time with her
Yeah.
while doing the thing he loves.
Right.
Like that's so cool. Like I'm like, no, I love this. This is so there's just a lot of it that's
I mean, I really, of course, this is, I'm projecting and I'm on my own journey
love it.
with this stuff. But I got to say, there's something to be said about neurodivergent representation
Yeah, for
with
sure.
Leroy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He like he does not know what a social
He's a
cue
full-on
even is. Yeah.
data, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't mean data from the Goonies.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but smart. Yeah. He's just like social cues. I don't even know what that is.
Social Q Gardens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I mean, it's really uncomfortable for like the first half of the movie for me. his inability to use contractions and whatnot. I don't know why that's the thing.
Yeah. I know.
Everybody decided,
Right.
but okay. So more behind the scenes sort of stuff. I watched the featurette that comes with the DVD.
Oh, nice.
Which is where I got the stuff like from the screenwriter perspective
cool,
and some of the songs. But then I watched an interview with Timok from 2018 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it was a YouTube channel. I'm not going to promote the channel because the guy was not a good interviewer. And
Love that,
I looking through his catalog, he's also interviewed like the QAnon shaman guy
Hell
and
yeah.
shit. So
Hell yeah.
fuck that guy. But a lot of useful info from Timok. He was talking about basically Barry Gordy just like took him under his wing, which basically just meant like he took him to Hollywood and was whining and dining him.
Nice.
But then he was on, he signed some contract, obviously, but he said nothing was happening after Last Dragon. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't
Yeah.
being put in other projects or even auditioning or sent scripts or anything. And then they wanted him to sign another contract that would include sequels to The Last Dragon. But it was only like you'll get $60,000 for the first one, $100,000 for the next one, but no percentage of royalties or any shit like
the
that.
fuck?
And the big thing was like he was like 20
Yeah,
at this point,
right.
didn't know anything about the business.
Right.
Somebody told him to get a lawyer to go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
this
yeah.
contract thing, and Barry Gordy said he would be there. He wasn't.
Oh, wow.
So it was just him and this lawyer that he'd never met before.
Yeah.
And the lawyer was like, "No, there's
Yeah.
nothing here about royalties or anything."
Right. Yeah.
And the person on the other side of the table was second in command at Motown. I forget her name.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that while they're doing this, she's there like insulting him to his face and saying like, "You're not
Jesus.
worth this. You should take this because you're not
Jesus.
even anything."
Oh my God.
So he didn't sign, but
Wow. Yeah. Good. I mean,
And then,
that sucks, but wow.
this guy, the same channel, apparently had also recently interviewed Michael Jai White.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you remember him from Spawn,
Yep.
which apparently first black comic book hero on screen,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
beating Blade by
I
a
know.
year.
And sorry, like what? How unfortunate that
I
they
know.
had so many children drawing all the what do you call it? Spec, like
Yeah.
the visuals for it. That
Storyboards.
fucking dragon that's just got the world's largest underbite
You mean
in the
the
world.
devil?
Yeah. It just has like 2 front teeth and then an entire like boat for a mouth or a jaw. You're like, what the fuck? And
Seth MacFarlane's Spawn. But he said, that this movie was a big influence on him, and he saw it, and he was like, I saw the Timok disappeared after that movie,
yeah,
and so I said to myself, they don't check up on you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know what lesson he took from that. He said, he was saying like, I could name 20 white guys right now
Right.
that have contracts because they can. I guess he's also like a martial artist.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, I could name 20 white guys right now that have contracts because they can kind of kick.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Chuck Norris much?
Right. So, I mean, this is unrelated, but slightly related. I saw this, I saw this on TikTok. But it was, a black TikToker sort of, he was showing 2 like videos, talking about like the same or similar subject basically. And one of them was Cat Williams. And the other one was, I don't remember, but it was someone talking to like, a crowd of people, like with it might have been, I don't know if it was like more school.
Was it
or
Joseph
church.
Robinette?
No, it was two black men.
Oh.
Cat Williams and then this. Yeah, it wasn't like
Gotcha.
comparative. It was just hearing like sort of the same thing from in two different.
I see.
Yeah. But it was talking about how it was a very. I'm not going to be able to. Maybe I'll send it to you so you can use a clip from it. But I probably will not be able to. Articulate it as well as it was, articulated by the men in this TikTok. But it was talking about how like it made me think of that because of how you're talking about how, they're saying like you're not worth anything, you don't. They were talking about how basically like black people are sort of, I think this can go with a lot of different people affected by white supremacy. But specifically, we're talking about, this is Black History Month, and we're specifically talking about black films and black artists. So that's why I'm focusing on black folks with this, to be very clear.
Got it.
So it was saying that, like, black people will a lot of times, like, not see their own worth, not see that they have, like, that they have anything to offer, believe sort of that they are less than. And they're like, but the people who make that happen to black people know that's not true.
Oh, yeah.
And it was this thing of like saying, and this phrasing of it really struck me, where they were saying, this guy was saying, they, like, why do they create laws around black people? Like, why do they create laws around black people not reading, like to not allow black people to read if black people weren't able to read,
Yeah, right.
why are they they convince you that something is true without by telling you, but then they act the opposite basically.
Yeah.
So like he was like, they tell you that you're dirty and then they make you clean their house. They tell you that you're uncivilized and then they make you raise their children.
Yeah,
and I was
right.
like, oh my God. And that I don't want to say like that made racism click for me. It's not like that, but it's like that phrasing of like,
No, that really
there
captures
is
a very
such-
specific
yeah,
dynamic. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's something that people don't understand with the gravity of racism and how there is not, it doesn't, like people will think racism is like a white people thing, but racism
right.
affects the community that it hates, and it gets inside and it creates sort of like self-sabotage and all of these things. And that's not to say that like you're doing this to yourself. That's not what I mean. It's just like you are told something enough and you believe it.
Right.
And that is a fact. That's a psychological fact. Like that's not something that like, even if you
You
don't
gotta be
want
careful.
to, even
I
if
mean,
you know
because there are
that it's
people
not
who-
true, right?
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, even if you know that it's not true, there's something in, like, you
Yeah.
hear it enough, and there's a voice in the back of your head that's like, well, I don't know. They said this,
I always had trouble understanding what was meant to be described by the phrase internal oppression, internalized
Right.
oppression. Until I saw a speaker say, any voice you have inside yourself that I'm not enough blank, and it's like
Right.
something intrinsic to you, or like, not intrinsic is like objectively true, but like any identifier, any socially constructed identity that you're born into, and any messaging in internal that says, like, in my case, I'm not masculine enough.
Right. Yeah.
Anything that goes along with that, which is a whole
Yeah.
ox cart full of garbage.
Right.
But like anything, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
any of those messages. So gender, race, class,
Right.
any of it.
Right.
That's a symptom of internalized oppression.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And that's what made it click for me.
Yeah.
So like, of course it happens. It's the water we breathe, as I like to say.
Gulp,
But
inhale.
there's a whole industry though targeting, as people of color, especially, see a lot of talk anyway. I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
majority of the market share actually targets these black men, but
Right,
like,
yeah.
there's a lot of like, I've heard it called the black manosphere, like
Mm-hmm.
that, like slavery's a mentality,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, talking about things like misogynoir is important because what is the clock?
felt like I heard a cat in
Oh,
there.
you do now.
I'm terrified.
You know, misogynoir is something where it's specifically misogyny against black women. And it's like that is not something that is only perpetuated by white people. That is
Oh, right.
perpetuated, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
And like colorism and all of these things, like these are ways that it can affect a community without, and because of how it's perceived, like color. If you're unfamiliar with colorism, it is being basically within, and it's within, and I believe I don't think it's specifically. I think it has to do with anti-blackness. I think it's rooted in anti-blackness, but it's not specifically referring to only black cultures. It's like indigenous cultures and Asian cultures. The darker your skin, the worse you are treated. There will sometimes be people who say that colorism is like the treatment people get based on their skin color. That is not colorism. It is specifically when the darker your skin tone, the more difficult life is for you. So it's like the lighter your skin, the closer your proximity is to whiteness, the easier you're going to have in society. Period.
So
it's not
I've clearly struggled with this. You and I have
Yes.
had multiple conversations where I've gotten it wrong.
right. Yeah.
So just
Right, of course.
just
No,
owning
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Is it within does it have to be like within a certain community? Like, would it be inappropriate for, if I'm talking about how a person of color is treated by a white person? Because,
Yeah, I think it has to do with the entire.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna expand on it. So, this is also my understanding. If I get it wrong, I will clarify at another point. But my understanding of colorism, as I've heard about it, specifically from people who have like a more negative interaction based on how dark their skin tone is compared to other people. It happens in the Latin community, it happens in Black community, it happens in the Native community, it happens in Asian communities. It has to do with, it is both. So I was around. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna When I was a kid, I lived in a black neighborhood, and someone had a kid who was lighter skinned. I don't remember what his actual name is, but his nickname was Head because he was little, but he had a really big head, so they would call him Head.
so
And
like,
his
so I
mom,
married an ex murderer.
Head down. And his mom would actively punish him for going outside, like, because she feared he would get darker, that his skin would be darker, and so that he, like, because it's considered. This is not me, like, doing like an anthropology thing, like in some cultures it's
Yeah, right.
considered. That's not what I'm saying. Like, this is, whether it's conscious or unconscious, there is like, the lighter your skin, it's like, oh, good. The lighter your skin, the more, like my friend, I won't name him just because I don't need to do that. He is a lighter skinned, like black. I'm not going to say light skinned because I don't know, whatever. He's lighter skinned, but he looks black. He's, it's not a question of his ethnicity. He has black parents. His mom is also light skinned. She is very light skinned. She's probably just a little bit darker than me. He has been told by women that they enjoy his skin tone because it is, quote, not intimidating. So that is colorism.
White
where
women, I presume.
yes, white women will tell him that they appreciate his specific color because, and what I mean about that is colorism. That him getting that treatment isn't colorism. Their perception of darker skin being intimidating, that is the part that is colorism.
Okay.
Right. So it's like the safety that you get
Right.
from your proximity to whiteness
Right.
is not is what do you call it, a side of not a side effect,
A symptom.
yeah, a symptom of colorism, but it is not the action of colorism. Colorism
right.
is the negativity associated with
Right.
having darker skin color.
Right.
So like, and yes, it can be perpetuated by white people, but it is also perpetuated within the community and within other communities as well, not just white. So, and you see it a lot of times but a lot of times the reason why blackness is kind of at the center of that is because there is an association of darker skin with black people.
Right.
So like there are black natives, there are natives with darker skin, and they're oftentimes shunned or treated like there's a lot of anti-blackness in the native community, and it's really unfortunate and it's really fucked up. But it's the thing of like, you have to split communities against each other, because if they come together and they have an understanding and they have mutual needs, then you're fucked. So
Right.
you have to do. So there's been a
yeah.
lot of work to create anti-blackness within other communities, so that there is no way to build community across, cultures. So that's one reason why colorism is so insidious, because it, without consciousness, it works to create a bias against people that have done nothing wrong, that are not unattractive or deserve to be treated badly.
I'm sure-
because of how dark their skin is. Like that's so insane. And it's one of those things where it's like, I truly was not, I mean, I don't want to say, again, I don't want to talk about, like, it's wild to me because I was like so sheltered as a kid. And I was so like, there are things that I had no idea about. But there were things that I'm like, no one in my family was like, oh, the darker your skin, like the worse you are. Like dark skin is. It was like the way head was treated. I was always like, what the fuck? You're black. Like who cares? Like,
Right.
I don't understand. And I don't mean like you're black. It's your skin's
Inescapable.
dark. Yeah, exactly. That's not what I mean. It's just like I was just like, I mean, I honestly thought that the color you were was just the color you were. I didn't know that people could get tanner or like.
Right.
I was a kid. I was like 7 or 8. Like I had no idea that like sunlight affected anyone's skin tone. I knew that you could get a sunburn,
Right.
but I didn't honestly know that like black folks could get sunburn. I just thought if you had darker skin, you just were lucky and you could be out in the sun as much as you wanted and it didn't affect you at all. that was me being a dumb kid though.
You mean that's not true?
Right. So yeah. Yeah, that's all. Just spitting some knowledge. Hold on. I have something to say, and then, which is unrelated to Black History Month. Just in case you were worried about that.
Oh, we didn't mention Keisha Knight Pullum.
Oh my God! Yes, Rudy.
Chaz Palminteri
Oh my God.
for a second.
William H. Macy. That slayed me. That shit fucking slayed me.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
I said Mike Starr in this movie is basically Teddy
It's true.
from Bob's.
Oh fuck! It's true though. It's true.
Mike Starr, I felt so underrated. I never hear anybody talk about him.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to get consistent work, but
Yeah.
from this movie to being a clown that gets punched in the face by Uncle Buck to The Office to Mr. Mercedes.
Mr. Mercedes. This is just, I was going to say something because I know there was like, I was going to say some joke, but whatever. I was going to say some joke about I'm the teacher and you're the students, and I was going to say it in Shawnee, but I don't want to do that. But I'm going to say this instead. Hoesi Pukonia means like good evening. Pukonia means before dark. So it's basically like before it's night, basically. So you would never say, there's another word for night, and I can't remember what it is. But you would never say, like, there's a word for night. You would never say good night because you don't say goodbye either. It's considered like any sort of finalization is like it's very
Taboo
bad.
or-
It's it's taboo. It's not done.
Rude.
It's rude. It's bad luck. It's all that stuff. So you would say Hoesi Pukonia, which is good evening, and like good, like because there's still time left in the day for it to be good. Anyway, that's all. But the Keke Weta is teacher, and Keki Kimo Dota is student. So I was like, yeah, I don't feel like saying that actually. It's difficult to say. And I wasn't going to be like, I'm...
Sukiyaki hot sake soup. But I want to see it on opening night.